When you think of human trafficking, what comes to mind? Social media scares, movies, foreign countries, a white van lurking in a park? If you were told human trafficking is happening right before your eyes, in places you visit every single day, like grocery stores, gas stations, middle-class neighborhoods, would you believe it? The truth is, every 30 seconds, another life is trafficked. Human trafficking in the United States is happening in our backyard. It is all too often this: victims hidden in plain sight, whether online or in the grocery store. But we are not helpless. There is something we can do. It starts with awareness, opening our eyes and shedding light on human trafficking as a crime in the United States. This is the first step we can all take. Whatever your skills, talents, or season in life, you can do something to help stop human trafficking. Human trafficking is an illegal business that creates profit by dehumanizing a life. It can happen to anyone, any race, any gender or socioeconomic status, any place in the world. There are an estimated 27 to 46 million children and adults trafficked in the world today. Exact human trafficking statistics are difficult because victims can't raise their hand and say, "Count me." Each year, an estimated $150 billion is generated by human trafficking. This is a serious crime, and the United States plays a significant role in these statistics. This is an atrocity that is truly happening in our backyard. This is why we exist. In Our Backyard is a nonprofit that links arms across America in the fight against human trafficking. We are victim-centered, trauma-informed, solution-oriented nonprofit that educates, mobilizes, and partners through 7 programs we have developed, which you can learn more about on our website at inourbackyard.org. We've been doing this for many years and know the weight of what it takes to fight against human trafficking. It takes courage, and for you watching this, we consider you courageous. Thank you. So let's get started in unpacking what human trafficking really is. Until the year 2000, human trafficking wasn't even a crime in the United States. Before that time, it was prosecuted under different statutes, such as forced prostitution, indentured servitude, and the Mann Act. 2000 was the year Congressman Chris Smith from New Jersey enacted the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, which was put in place to assist and protect victims of both labor and sex trafficking. Labor trafficking is using force, fraud, or coercion to recruit, harbor, transport, obtain, or employ a person for labor services in involuntary servitude, peonage, debt bondage, or slavery. Sex trafficking is a commercial sex act induced by force, fraud, or coercion, or in which the person performing the act is under the age of 18. No matter how many times the person under the age of 18 explains, "I'm doing this all on my own, this is my idea," it doesn't matter. Under the age of 18 is considered human trafficking by the Trafficking Victims Protection Act. The physical movement of a victim is not a requisite for human trafficking. A person can be born and raised and in the same house without ever having left. They don't need to be physically moved. It is the crime of trafficking that takes place that defines it. We say they move from vulnerability to exploitation. Human trafficking, either for labor or sex, is dehumanizing. Survivors of human trafficking report having restricted movement, experience threats, abuse, and manipulation. They have no control over their work or money, which we refer to as exploitation, because that is what it is. It's a crime, not work. They have long hours, little or no pay, and debt bondage, which means the trafficker charges their victim for the transportation it took to get them there, the roof over their head, the food they eat, and the exorbitant prices for anything they use. For instance, if a victim is taken to the store and needs a hairbrush that costs $4, the trafficker may charge them $20 on their books. Oftentimes, the debt becomes higher than what they earn, and we call that debt bondage. Human trafficking is the second largest and the fastest growing crime in the world, and the U.S. is both a destination and a source country. As I said before, victims of human trafficking are hidden in plain sight. For example, one time in a resort community, a perpetrator owned a home in the US and owned a business in Hong Kong. For 12 years, they exploited their victim. A public space the victim reports being taken to frequently was a community grocery store. Traffickers exploit victims' fears of authorities and advocates. Victims are physically isolated or guarded. They are also controlled by their traffickers through psychological coercion. They may or may not be able to speak English, which isolates them even more. And they may not know where they are. This is a way of the trafficker keeping control over their victims. Many are not even aware that they are a victim or have rights. In fact, the large majority of victims don't realize they are a victim of human trafficking. They may think they are a prostitute, choosing this on their own, or if they're being trafficked for labor, they are just not being treated right. Let me reiterate that. Victims usually don't know they are victims, and they are often right in front of us, trapped in a growing business that is spreading faster and faster in our society, the second fastest growing crime in the world. Together, our eyes are opening. The human trafficking is here, happening every day in our backyard. Nita Belles, In Our Backyard's founder and president, calls on each one of us to not stay silent and to link arms across America in the fight against trafficking. I'd like to introduce Nita Belles.
You can make a difference. Everyone watching this video today can make a difference. It's so important that we educate ourselves about human trafficking, what it is, what it really looks like, and how to report it. We can make a difference in the entire world by reporting human trafficking. And in fact, 1/3 of the small number of victims who are recovered in the United States every year are recovered because someone just like you saw something and reported it. In that way, you can be a part of saving a life. All the traffickers ask of us is just one thing, and that is that we not talk about this. Then they can go on and commit their horrific crimes, and no one will even notice. We've got to talk about it, and I'm going to ask that you tell 3 people what you saw in this video today. Don't be silent. We're not going to be part of the silence. We're going to talk about this crime to stop it. If you haven't read my book, In Our Backyard, I'm going to recommend that you read it because it makes a difference in how you understand human trafficking. In fact, it's become known as the primer on human trafficking in the United States. Additionally, all proceeds of the book go right back into the work of In Our Backyard.
There is more to come, but for now, consider what you've just learned about human trafficking.
Thank you for joining the fight against human trafficking in our backyard.